Hello, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is you're watching this particular episode. It's so good to come your way again. I'm so glad that you join in to listen to what we have to say. This is Discovery Tuesday on the Afrocentrics podcast. Discovery Tuesday is a segment on the Afrocentric podcast where we talk about all things relationship. And we at the Afrocentric podcast, we have this platform where we showcase Africa voices. And it's important that we tell our stories our own way so that we can control the narrative out there. So thank you once again for joining us. It's such a beautiful day, and we're sure that you're going to get something beautiful, something that you can put, to work in your life, in your relationship to make it better. What we do here is we offer tips, insights, to help you posture rightly in your relationship. So today we're going to be talking about a very, very important topic. I'm sure it's like it's overflow. We could sound like a broken down record, but the truth about the matter is that even though there's a whole lot of information out there concerning how to choose a life partner, but then again we see that marriages are failing, and we really want to know why. And the truth about the matter is that if you don't prepare well for with the right information, you might just join the statistics, but that's not our desire. That's why we're here, to inform you and to educate you, to enlighten you so that you can make a better decision. So thank you so much for our viewers for joining in. You've helped us, you've been there through thick and thin. We thank you for your contributions for the concerning the last episode. It was such an exciting one too. Thank you also for being there for us. We also want to give a shout out to Chinaza Favor, who bought us a coffee some time ago, to support the work that we do. If you know that you've benefited and you really find what we do here very beneficial, you can buy us a coffee too. I mean, just go to www.buycoffee.com and buy us some good cup of coffee. We really do appreciate every support that you give us with regards to the work that we do here. So today, without wasting so much of your time, we're just going to we're going to dive in right into our conversation for today. 1 hour is just not enough, but we're going to maximize the one that we have today. So today we're going to be talking about a particular topic that is, very dear to my heart concerning the couple of events that has happened in the past 1 month. What's going on in the society right now. It's very important that people are armed with the right information. So today we're going to be talking about how to be strategic in choosing a life partner. I'm not here alone. I'm here with um, a friend, a mentor, one who is not just a transformational coach. She's a minister of the gospel, and she's a wife, a mother, and she's the convener of the Come Alive project. Now she's doing an excellent work, and we are so privileged to have her join us today to share from the wealth of our experience. So, without wasting much of your time, I wanted to give a hearty cheers as a welcome our guest today, Mrs. Modupe Ekpeyoung. Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Hi. Good
Yeah,
morning.
always
Hello.
good to have you. Always good to have you. How
It's
is
my
it been
pleasure.
with you? All right, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you once again for honoring our invitation. I know that there's a whole lot that you have to share with us, and this 1 hour wouldn't do justice, but we'll just see how far we can go with it. Thank you once again, Ma. You're welcome to today's episode of Discovery Tuesday on the Afrocentrics podcast.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's just dive in. The thing about the matter is that we hear a whole lot of things out there. People, because of their experiences, not necessarily their experiences, but the experiences of others and the news. It's said that it's bad news that actually do sell because people don't realize that they are good marriages and that people are actually enjoying their marriage. And a marriage is a good thing, actually. It's a good thing. You hear people say marriage is a scam and all that, but that's not true. That's not the only narrative. There are people who are enjoying their marriage and they're doing well at it. So today we're going to be talking. Let's start our conversation with what is marriage. And why is it even necessary in the first place? You know, we want to know, at least take us to the origin of what marriage is.
That's a big question, Didi. Very big question. I think that's the mystery that a lot of people have been trying to solve, you know, in their quest for a happy home. Also, for me personally, I define marriage as a lifelong partnership, friendship, and alliance for a greater purpose.
Okay,
So that's how I see marriage. It's a lifetime partnership, friendship, and alliance for a greater purpose between two entities, two people, male and female. Or let me say it in a better way, between a man and a woman. That the emphasis is needed. So that's
yes,
marriage, simply an alliance for a greater purpose. That's a purpose that is beyond either one of the two, that requires that two people come together to achieve this purpose. When you take that purpose out of it, what happens is that we lose focus of why we're in the marriage in the first place. So that's marriage. It's simply partnership. And if many people can learn to see marriage as a partnership, they can make it work anytime, anywhere. Because the essence of this, the reason why God actually brought two people together in marriage was so that they can partner, so that they can partner together in the journey of their life. I'm a Christian, and I believe that it could have been done alone, but God saw that it was not going to be good enough. So marriage is supposed to improve the two people involved. It's supposed to improve the world around them, and it's supposed to amplify their steps in such a way that they can fulfill purpose and do good in, in a greater way.
that I hear you on that. So marriage actually helps individuals maximize their potential so that they can do much more than individually that if they were all alone. Okay, I get you on that. So now, is it just anybody that is fit or that is ready, as it were, for marriage? Because we hear people say marriage is for matured people. Now, maturity, what does it mean in this context?
Hmm. You know, as far as I'm concerned, given the way our world relates with marriage, what I see is that we define maturity by age. So we just
Okay.
believe that when you are maybe in your 20s or perhaps late 20s, mid 20s, and above, you should be ready for marriage. And if you observe, this is the time people begin to bother young people to get married. You find their family members begin to ask, have you not found the Mr. or the Mrs.? Have you not found, or should I hook you up with somebody? Those kind of questions begin to come. When are we going to meet her? And then, we subtly put pressure on people because they are grown, they are adults, because they are in their 20s. So we assume, and when you're in your 20s, you should be ready and begin to put pressure on people like you should marry, you should marry. But that's not maturity. As a matter of fact, growing is a default state. Growing in age, growing older in age is default. I mean, the moment you were born and you come on to the surface of the earth, you start to grow. You don't make any effort. You just keep growing older. So now the effort is in how you grow, but you always grow as long as you're on earth. Even if you're not growing bigger physically anymore, you're still growing. So growing is not the proper parameter to use to judge if one is matured enough for marriage or not. So you could be 20, you could be 30, you could be 50. What it takes to grow isn't to marry, it's not just age. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that anyone who must marry must actually be an adult, must be matured. physically matured. But it looks as if our focus is mostly on the physical maturity, and we kind of abandon other ways that people should mature. We need to mature mentally, we need to mature in experience, we need to mature in so many other ways than the maturity that age brings. So it's normal that you see somebody and you feel, okay, this person is ready for marriage, but that's why we have a lot of people going into marriage and marriage keeps breaking, because we want to get into it on the default, with the understanding of, they have told me this is how marriage should be. I have seen my daddy, I have seen my mother, I have seen how they did it, and this is how marriage is. So we unconsciously absorb these things and make it our standard for marriage, and we think we are ready. There's another set of people who say, I have read a lot of books about marriage, so I know the roles. Everybody has to enter into their role. As long as we all enter into our roles, there will be no problem. I read a lot of books. People have told me so many things, and I know I'm ready for marriage. They may be wrong also, because they just did the theoretical aspect. You see, the practical aspect, you don't get to do it most of the time until you get into marriage. So until you get into it and you know what's in your package, you may not even know what skill you need. So in my opinion, everybody should have learned certain skills to prepare them for the uncertainties that accompany marriage. So you want to be matured and ready for marriage. The first thing that you should consider is how much of yourself do you know? A lot of people just move on autopilot. Like, whatever people say, go to school. When you go to school, you come back, then you get a job. When you get a job, you further your education. When you further your education, you earn more. Our world is driven by finances. Our motivation most of the time is finances. So you find people are prepared adequately, to make money by going to school, as it were. I don't believe that's adequate, but we believe that, okay, so when we send them to school, they have this knowledge, academic exposure, they are ready. So, and we assume they are ready for every other aspect of life. But education will only compound your matter if you do not focus on other aspects of it. If you focus on only academic education, if you go into the market right now, you see that what puts people ahead of the other, a person ahead of the other, is no more their qualification education wise. It is now how much the soft skills that they have and how well they can apply it. So you find they begin to observe, what is this person's communication skills like? What is his interpersonal skills like? They want to know your negotiation skills, life skills. And they begin to watch you. They ask you questions to be sure. And it's the same thing for everything. Even for marriage, we need to learn skills. And the first thing to start with, understand yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, you don't know what you need to learn. You don't know where you're lacking. You don't know what your strength is. You don't know what your weakness is. So how do you begin to learn? I personally believe that from the day a child understands what you're saying, you are preparing the child for marriage. From the day a child can observe and understand what is happening around them, you have started preparing them for marriage. Because how do you explain the fact that no man sits a man down or a woman sits a woman down to say, okay, these are the things you should do, these are the and you find that the excitement is in the line of these things. You begin to find a woman excited about being called Mrs. and you wonder, what is it about Mrs. that is exciting you? She doesn't even know. She just knows that there's something about it. She has seen her world celebrate it. She has seen people get married and they celebrate it. And you find she wants to be Mrs. because she feels, okay, the way they respect her, the way they celebrate her, that means I'm going to get something like that. So from the moment a child understands what is happening, the child should start learning about marriage from the people who are married around them, mostly the parents. See, God created marriage because he expects that we are going to make good use of it to create an enabling environment for children, an enabling environment for our dreams to come true, an enabling environment to fulfill our purpose, an enabling environment, to be healthy, to be healthy, because there's a need in man, a need in man for an intimate relationship on earth, and marriage is the most intimate relationship on earth. There's
Yeah.
no other relationship is that. Although for some people they say that's not my experience. Well, that's the error, and that's the thing we look forward to correct. But it should be the most intimate relationship on earth. It should be the safest place for a married person. It should be. It should be a place of rest, a place of calm, a place of assurance, a place of validation. That's what marriage should be. Because the essence of it is so that the well being of either one of them, the man or the woman, will be a concern for the other person. So I'm going into marriage thinking I'm going to pay attention and give my best to helping this person be the best. I'm going to give my best to ensure that as long as it depends on me, this person is in a good state of mind. Whatever I can do to make this person a better person, that's what I'm going to do. Because it's companionship, it's partnership, it's friendship. I don't like, when we're talking about marriage, I don't like to take, matters like childbirth, and major on its reason. This is the reason. Because childbirth was not the reason marriage was created. It is after marriage was created that the necessity to bring a child into such a beautiful environment came. It wasn't that there's a need to bring children, well, people were existing before marriage, weren't they? So if it was about existence, people could just go on existing. I mean, marriage, who married before the first person came? People were existing. God can make people anyhow. He's sovereign. So why do we now think that the major reason why marriage was created is for children? No, it is not. So when you want to, when you become aware and you feel, okay, I know someday I'm going to get married, the first thing you need to do is go to school of life and understand yourself, know your weakness, start searching. I always tell people that self-awareness is not a default, it's what you learn. So you learn self-awareness. A lot of people just go on default and they assume they know themselves. It's amazing if you pay how much you discover about yourself if you pay a little more attention. So self-awareness is key for anybody who wants to get married. You want to get married, self-awareness, you have to start understanding you, why you do what you do. What are your needs? What are your emotional needs? How do you communicate? What's your communication style? What's your temperament? You want to understand. You want to know. So everybody should start digging deep and understand themselves. Read about things that you do. Why do I do some things that I do? Why do I do some things that I don't do? Why don't I do some things that I don't do? Why? Because if you're going to choose somebody you want to walk through, this life's journey with, you need to know what kind of person you are. How do you choose what will match a thing if you don't have an understanding of the thing? So a lot of people are just living life on autopilot. What people say they are, they assume they are. What people say they should be, they assume they are, they will be. They just begin to live life based on the discoveries other people hand over to them. However, we should take our time and discover ourselves. That's the only way you will be able to choose, you'll be able to judge properly what kind of person you are supposed to marry. So having talked about that, that's a whole course on its own, practicing self-awareness. It's a whole course on its own. Another thing you need to understand is, what's your place of relevance? What's your place of relevance? Some call it purpose, but when I say purpose, it might sound too difficult for you. But what's your place of relevance? Where do you think you will matter in your sphere of contact, in your sphere of influence? How do you think, if you have not found something you could do to make your life worthwhile, you may frustrate yourself out of marriage.
Hmm.
I emphasized the other time that marriage is just one aspect of your life. So can you imagine living? If you ask a lot of ladies, especially not men, but ladies, when you ask them, most of their dreams and plans is tied to marriage. You hear them say, I'm going to go do my okay, after my degree, I'm going to go and do my master's, then I get married, have some children, then I'll go and then PhD. Can you imagine plan? So you find frustration begins to show up when they do not they cannot marry at the time they expect to marry, and then they don't see themselves. It's a box we create for ourselves when we make such plans. So you don't see yourself moving on in your plans, and you begin to feel the pressure of moving on. Where do I need this marriage to happen quick so I can do this, so I can do that, so I can do? And what if those things don't happen at the time you expected them to happen? What happens to you? So we need to understand that knowing our place of relevance is very important, because that's your passion. That's what will bring satisfaction. That's what will help you patiently choose to marry,
Okay.
because you are pouring out your emotions somewhere. I still remember we said something like that, that most of the time men find places to pour out their emotions, and women just pour it all into marriage. And somehow the men just can't get it. So we need to learn, whether if you're a man or a woman, you need to learn to pour your emotions into something that you know is worth a while for you, something that you know it's important and matters to the existence of somebody else. So we need to know that our place of relevance. Another thing you need to know is to establish your values. Many marriages are not successful today because a lot of people do not even know what their standard is for living. They don't know what is acceptable for them, what is not acceptable. All they know, this is what they do. When I marry, I will know. But, I just said this, it's partnership. How do you partner with somebody who you don't share same values with? Is it possible? Is it because you'll be seeing life differently? When you know your values, you know the things that matters to you the most. You know the important things to you, how you expect things to be. What are your belief system? What's your belief system? What do you believe in? Because if you're going to partner with somebody all your life, you may as well just consider that you agree, the fact that you need to agree, because it's all your life. You need to understand. If you don't know, how do you know what to look out for in the person you're going to marry? You don't even know what you believe. You don't know. You are changing every day. You are changing. I remember an old movie I watched. Maybe those that have watched it will recognize it. And as I talk about it, this beautiful lady who constantly runs away, and leaves her groom at the altar. And when she was going to discover herself, one of the grooms got angry and told her, "You don't even know what kind of egg you like." Because he discovered that she always would like the eggs that whoever she's dating likes, the kind of egg that the person she's dating likes. So it changes every time she's. And when she was going to discover herself, what did she do? She fried different types of egg, prepared eggs in different ways, and decided that, okay, I'm going to taste everything and even know what I like. I want to know what I like today. And she found out what she liked. That's what it is like to discover yourself, to practice self-awareness, to know your values. Sit down and say, what do I really think about it? What is my opinion about this thing? Then now you need to find the answer to why.
I think network issues there, but I'm sure she'll be right back. She'll be right back here. Thank you, Titi Lokwe, for joining us today. Can see you. So good to have you join us. Thank you for Pastor Payon. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Okay, she talked a lot about awareness as an individual. Before you begin to think about making a choice, you need to be aware who you really are. What have you been called to do? What is it that you are about? What are the value? What are your values? What are the your inclinations, the things that you would want to give yourself to? So self-awareness, that particular topic cannot be overemphasized because it's actually the root cause of your identity. You must know your area of relevance. You must know what you are about because you can't even, once you don't know who you are, it's difficult for you to know who you can work with because marriage is partnership, like she rightly said, it's partnership. It's also an opportunity where you begin to, it's also an opportunity where you have to groom, you know, children as it were, in later times. But the truth about the matter is that you need to know your strengths, you need to know your weaknesses. There's a whole lot of programming that needs to be uncovered, within you. You need to know exactly, the things that you would like to do, the things that you want to venture in. You must know yourself that much to be comfortable with yourself because it's the knowledge of yourself that would actually play out in the choice of who you want to spend the rest of your life with. So that's why it's important that as an individual, you must be friends with yourself. Like we have talked about in previous episode, where we talked about self-identity. Who are you? That's the question that you must always answer. You should be able to answer that confidently. Now, it's said that if you don't know who you are, nobody can say thou art because it's who you are is who you project to the society. It actually determines the kind of people that you attract, determines the kind of people that you can actually find that can find you attractive. Your values, if you talked about your values, it's so important because you cannot be yoked with somebody who doesn't even share same value. You'll be living like a stranger. And the truth about the matter is why this is very pertinent is because even if you're 30 years today and you think you're old, and you get into marriage today. Now, if you're going to spend, for example, if you live up to like 80 years, so that's another 50 years of your life, and that's a whole lot to be able to spend with somebody, a whole lot of years, that you have to spend with this particular person. Now, so it's important that you know who you are and what you're about and what you will like, the kind of person that you want to spend your life because marriage is first of all companionship. The Bible says it is not good for a man to be alone. Let me make a helpmate. So there was a need. So it's companionship first because it's important that we get to know what is the priority, what is priority, so we can put our interest, our attention on the things that are priority. Because most times the reason why most marriages don't seem to be thriving is because they are measuring on the minors rather than measuring on the things that are priorities. So self awareness is one of it. So
I apologize. I apologize for that break.
Hello, sorry. Okay, network. Yeah, we'll have you back. We'll have you back. All right. So good to have you back. Sorry about the network.
Okay, so okay, I
Can
was
you
okay.
hear me?
Another thing, Stan, yes, I can hear you very clearly. Can you hear me? So we're talking about signs, things that you need to learn in order to adequately mature for marriage, right?
Hello?
I can hear
Hello?
you. I can hear you clearly.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, I can.
I can't hear you. All right.
Can you hear me?
Hello? I can't hear you. I can only hear your mouth. I can only see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
Everything is good.
Okay.
Can you hear?
All right. I think you
Can
can go
you?
ahead. Can you hear
Can
me? Can you
I
hear
can hear
me?
you?
Oh, fine. Go ahead. Go ahead if you can hear me. Go ahead if you can hear me.
Okay. So we were talking about. we're talking about things that you can, how to mature towards getting married. Another thing you need to go and do your research on, each of these things, you know, each of these things take a whole lifetime to discover. That's why we do not just wait until a few weeks or a few days, towards marriage. That's why a lot of people don't take seriously the need to go for counseling before they marry, because they yet do not understand that getting married is something you learn how to do. Ability, relating with any human at all is something you learn how to do. How much more someone that is going to be in your hair every minute and every second of your life? You need to truly learn how to relate. So there's something else you need to learn how to love, how to commit, to be committed, how to accommodate. These are things that a lot of people do not understand. You find people can't even live successfully with their siblings in the home, and they expect that they are going to live successfully with their spouse. They've not even created enough room for their siblings, the ones that they actually lived together from childhood until they were adults. But they think they can create room for somebody that they are going to get married to. No, that's not how it is. You learn how to relate with people. You learn how to love people. When we talk about love as purely an emotion, then we undermine the power of love, especially in the context of marriage, because we all know something about our emotions. Emotions are unstable, absolutely unstable. That's why you're going to hear somebody is so in love today, but tomorrow the person doesn't just feel it. I don't just feel anything for you anymore. Why? So you can't build a lifelong commitment based on emotions, because emotions are unstable. And we are emotional beings. We came on earth with emotions and we put it before us for everything. I feel like, I don't feel like. It rules our lives if we give emotions an opportunity. Emotion will rule you. Emotions control a person's life. Emotions demand from you and tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So when you now say you want to build a marriage based on how you feel, it means when you feel all excited, it's going to go good. When you don't, it's going to be out. And that's why many marriages are not successful, because they are built on the foundation of feelings. So you find people talking about dying for somebody, abandoning their family for somebody, thinking about all sorts of things, because I love him, because I love her. What do we know that love is? Because this thing we make noise about that we call love is just what we feel. And because we do not have control over it, it can come and go, which means the marriage can end at any time. Because, I think I have a very good analogy. Just as the network that has been functioning fine just decided not to right now. That's how our feelings, your feelings can just decide to trip off at any time. And because things happen, life happens, and feelings respond to things happening around us. Our emotions respond to the things that are happening around us. The security system just tells you this is happening around you, this is happening around you, and you respond appropriately. So you cannot judge love as purely a feeling, because it is not. The love that can sustain a marriage has to be learned, and it's a verb. It's a verb. So you have to tell yourself, if I'm going to marry, then I have to learn to love. I have to learn to accommodate. We all have this mindset that all things will be equal when we marry. So we begin to talk about the qualities that we want. This person has to be able to do this. This person has to be able to, before I'll consider him or her as a spouse and all that. But what if things change? What if the person can't do the things, even though they were able to and they qualified, they passed the test, and then they could not do those things anymore? So it takes away that strong value of marriage if we base it on how we feel. So we need to understand, a deep understanding, that love isn't just a feeling. Loving is a verb. it is a choice and it is a decision. The moment you get that right, you tell yourself, okay, so now I feel I am ready to actually love somebody. I'm choosing, I'm deciding to love somebody. And so what does it take to love? When you get married, there's one major thing that is involved. One is to keep yourselves company throughout your lifetime. Let's because when we say companionship and all those things, it sounds difficult. Now, when you say you want to marry, you want somebody who will keep you company throughout your lifetime. It's that simple. Now, if that person is going to keep you company throughout your lifetime, then you have to be very good friends. Then you have to be able to agree. And then you have to be sure that you are looking out for the interest of one another. Because this is the one. Now, see, every time you change location and your sphere of contact changes, marriage is supposed to be the one relationship you carry on. And it's going to now spread that culture that you carry around the new people that you are going to. So tell me how you are going to do this if you don't have a commitment to this person, and if you don't know how to reach this person. So it's important that we all learn to love. We all learn to love, because when you learn the language of love, it will be easy to love any kind of person. Because there's something about the package marriage. You don't fully know what you're in for until you get into it. You can do your best to pick what's important to you, to pick the things of high priority and ensure they are intact, but you can't get to know it all. So you are left with your life skills, how to manage the things that you are not expecting. See, as long as when I counsel people who are getting married and I ask them how they're going to deal with certain things, how would you deal with maybe a few things? And then I find them being so optimistic. In my heart, I'll tell them, you'll be back after the marriage. When they say, no, I will be fine, it won't happen. I love him. I won't do that. You are being so optimistic, you'll be back. Because you'll be shocked. Because for me to ask you how you're going to deal with it, it's because I have observed that circumstance might come up based on my observation, based on how I have observed both of you, how you do what you do, maybe your personality type and all those kind of things. And if you cannot tell me strategically how you want to deal with it, then you will be shocked when it happens and you'll be disappointed. And this is why marriages break. Most marriages break because people do not, they are shocked at what they find out. They can't believe what their eyes can see. Like, this is the same person. It's amazing how we transform from who we were before we marry to who we are in the marriage. You'll be amazed how people change. Why? Because all the ideologies that they unconsciously gathered and made theirs, that has become their mindset, all those things now begins to show up. Why? Because they found themselves in the environment where those things should manifest. So your memory naturally calls it up. Now it calls up anything good or bad that you have observed and taken note of. Things happening around you reach you through your thoughts. The first, really, you hear them, you see them, you feel them, whatever, then you think them. Now, the thoughts that you think long enough to form your mindset, the one you've accepted becomes your mindset. That's it. Any thought that you accept and you keep long enough becomes your mindset. So imagine, there is actually no way a child will not manifest what he or she sees in his parents' marriage or her parents' marriage, except that child becomes intentional and says, I saw this and I don't think it's right. I want to find out how it ought to be done. So I'm going to replace that mindset I formed as a child, now intentionally replacing it with the right one. So generally, you just need to learn how to carry another person along all your life. You all have to learn how to disagree, yet walk together. So that's it. So I'm not going to go deeper, but these are a few things. You know, a lot of people will talk about things like, things like having a home, you know, things like, you know, having a job, things like make sure you graduate from school, you know, and all this. These things fail at the end of the day because we're not building them on the right foundation. These things will be useful if we can work on the right foundation. See, nothing, you can't do anything beyond your thinking. Your mindset sets the limit for anything you do. So get a job, earn a lot, go to school, whatever it is. If you're not working on your mindset, you're not ready. I'm going to talk about a few life skills that anybody who is ready to marry will have to learn. But let me give you a chance to say something at this point.
Okay. I hear you on that. I hear you on the importance of self-awareness. I hear you on the importance of having to know yourself, groom yourself, find out what your strengths, your weaknesses are, and what you're about, and what relevance, what it is that you want to contribute to society. I hear you on that. I understand the fact that the individual first of all has to get yourself strategically positioned. But then again, you're not married. You're not going to get married to yourself. And the best you can contribute to a marriage, the best of yourself, is just 50% of what is obtainable in a marriage. And the other 50% is very important. I hear you talk about that, the upbringing influences a child. It said that you take home with you wherever you go. So the individual, it's important that, because marriage is a two-way thing, marriage is two people coming together. It's important that you don't just walk and pick anything. Also, like when you're going to the mall, you already have an idea of what you want to get from the mall. So even though there are so many other attractive things, other things calling your attention, now somebody who is purpose driven, who actually works on a budget and is actually regulated, would match straight to what he or she wants and pick it up. So then, how it's important that you also, as much as you can know yourself, as much as you can prepare yourself for marriage, it takes two to tango, like you said. How then, what are the keystone attributes? What are the keystone attributes that you have to look out for in a potential spouse that tells you this particular one, I can do life with this one? Because are you of the opinion that once you are, you know yourself, and you have all, you're put together, you can just live, you can get married to anybody and it's going to work? Because I believe that you can't get married to anybody and everybody. Yeah, I know there are different schools of thoughts, that there's a specific person for another person, for one person, but I want to hear your thoughts on that, because it's important that the individual that you're getting yoked to, you share same values. There must be something in common. There must be something you're looking out for. Just like you go into a mall, there's something you want to pick. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
So talking about, you just mentioned something. You said you should share the same. Sharing the same values. A lot of times, what comes to people's mind is maybe education, religion. What are the other things that people think of when you talk about, same value? Maybe family values, and all those things. Is this person a polygamist while I'm a mono? Those kind of things. I don't want to be marry a polygamist and all that. These things are important. However, what's your value? I mentioned you should know your own value, and you should know what complements your value, what agrees with you. So you see, I'm intentionally not giving one particular template for everybody. Why? Because if you don't know yourself, you don't know what you're looking for. So you need to find somebody who agrees with you, somebody who you share. Let me simplify this value thing. Who sees as important what you see as important? A lot of times we use words and we don't break them down, so we can't relate to them. You need to marry somebody who sees as important what you see as important, what you see as valuable, who rates things, the things you rate as high, they rate them also as high. Because then you share your ideas of what is wrong and what is right is alike. You know, a lot people overlook these things because their feelings goes ahead of them. So, you know, there's something that I observed with married people, especially those that just got married within a year, you know, the first few months, you know, and then you find they begin to act as though they know one another so much. They assume they know one another. They will be shocked 10 years later to discover that they've not even found out anything about one another because of that assumption. We just say, I know him. And you know, this is it. When your feeling goes out to someone, it makes you feel you've known them all your life. So you just assume you know them and you're no more intentional about getting to know them. It's the same attitude we have towards ourselves. We just feel we know ourselves. I understand myself. And we don't take our time to systematically discover ourselves. And that's the same thing. So you need to know what your values are and find somebody whose values at least agrees with yours, is close to yours, so that your conflict level will be less. Now, I didn't say there will be no conflict. I said your conflict level will be less. Then there's another attribute you need to look out for, and that's called teachability. And I like to talk about teachability and flexibility. We are so rigid, and we always assume that all things will be equal. Like I said, I call it the all things being equal syndrome. It's not true. All things will not be equal. It's a lifetime. We change. The human changes a natural human changes his or her mind several times in a lifetime, as in uncountable times in a lifetime. So tell me how you can assume that this is going to work if you're not flexible and if you're not teachable. You need to be teachable in the sense that you have to be committed to learning to understand whoever you're going to marry or who you're married to. And you have to be flexible to accommodate the changes that will take place over time. Flexibility and teachability. You don't want to, you know, you find during conflict resolution, you find one party says, I felt really bad, or I felt angry because you did this. And then the other party says, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't feel bad because my intention was not to make you feel bad. That's a sign that that person is not teachable. The moment you hear, I felt bad, you expect that the teachable one says, really? What exactly about it made you feel bad? That's a teachable heart. Somebody who wants to understand before making conclusions. They don't just make judgments based on their own opinion and assuming everybody thinks like them. The truth is we all think differently. So a teachable person. Now, I don't like to say things you should look out for in the person you're going to marry. I like to say things you should learn to do, things you should imbibe. Imagine this man is learning to be teachable, is learning to be flexible, and this woman is doing the same. When they meet, they will find themselves one another attractive. It's easier that way than to assume that there's one person that is already prepared to be teachable and flexible, and you're looking for the person, but you're not even aware of whether you are teachable and flexible. Do you know there are people who want to be loved, but they are not lovable? They have not worked on it. They are not lovable. They repel people. They push people away. But they don't know. And they are crying and they want to be loved. You see why I said self-awareness is very, very important. And, you know, let me just give one clue to self-awareness. Start by asking the question, why did I? Why didn't I? Do you know, if you can patiently ask yourself, why did I or why didn't I? Why did I get mad? You'll be amazed that what you think is your reason is not your reason. Just patiently sort your emotions and say, why? Why? Why don't I? Just give yourself an opportunity to discover these things and understand, then you will know what to work on. However, for everybody who wants to marry, you need to learn to be flexible. You need to learn to be teachable. You need to learn adaptation. Adaptation. As you learn it, now what you're learning is what you're looking for. you can't really recognize something that you don't know. You recognize it because you have learned it and you know what it is like. So when we dole out qualities people should look out for in the people they will marry, they themselves cannot relate with these qualities. How will they recognize these things in others? This is why they will choose wrongly at the end. So I still say it's not 50% as a matter of fact. It's not. It's 100% working on yourself. Why? You will attract your tribe. When people cry, I don't like the kind of people that come my way. I don't like the kind of people. There are two things that may be involved. One is you are not communicating your original self. So when you communicate the wrong person based on the things that you gathered from your society, unconsciously picked up, these people will see it. That's what you've communicated, and that's what they will get. Take dressing, for example. I always tell people dressing is not just, it doesn't end at just covering your body and all that. Dressing is a communication. For every kind of outfit you wear, you're saying something about yourself. Now you find a lady dressing in a manner and she's expecting men from the other camp to find her. It's not going to work. You have to communicate who you are. What kind of person are you? Let your style show who you are. We don't just look into catalogs and pick what to wear. Let your style communicate you. Oh, I want people to see me as a sophisticated woman. Then you know what to do. I want people to see me as, what's the word? And there are some words I don't like to use. I want to communicate simplicity and down to earth. There are certain things you wear. You don't need to just, tell anybody, oh, I'm a sophisticated woman. Your outfit tells it. I'm a fly girl. Your outfit can tell somebody that you're a fly girl. So that's the thing. In looking out for these people, wear the qualities that will attract your tribe. Locate your tribe. Dwell amongst them. Don't try to belong to every circle, and learn adaptation. I keep saying learn adaptation. You say what people call compatibility is overrated. Is it important? Yes, but overrated. Because our idea of compatibility is that this perfect guy and this perfect woman will just fit together perfectly. But that's not how compatibility works. Compatibility may work when you're talking about important things like your values, things that are important to you. But there are certain little details that you may never get to until you start the course, until you begin the journey. Now, what happens with compatibility is as you keep discovering one another, one person knows when to withdraw, another person knows when to project. So when you say something is compatible, it means they can fit in perfectly. So it's like as you discover one another, there's going to be a carving taking place. One person is understanding that this is not where I should show up. Another person is understanding my strength will be needed in this area. So you keep giving room, the one who needs to make room, the one who needs to take room. And then what happens? You fit in over the years together, having established that you share the same values. That's compatibility. So learn adaptability and look for someone who truly is willing to adapt. It's not one-sided. It's not one-sided. So I'm not going to believe that I've heard enough. So they can add those ones and work with it. But for me, flexibility, teachability, adaptability to give room for compatibility. Look corrected, who doesn't want to understand you, who doesn't care how you feel. Because one very important thing about relationships is it feels the need for validation in humans. And see, validation allows you to feel the way you want to feel and seeks to understand. So it's important that we take these things to heart. Done.
Wow, wow, you said a lot. You said a lot here. we talked about flexibility. It's one skill, because the next question I was about asking is how to ensure that the marriage thrives in this present age. But you mentioned adaptability and flexibility, because most times we sometimes we do all the check that there is to do, and life happens, like they say. Life happens, you know, things change. Probably the loss, maybe the sickness sets in, loss of job, probably there's a delay in childbirth. I mean, life really happens, and these are actually things that can affect a relationship, the strength of a relationship, the strength of a marriage. So the is important that aspect of flexibility and adaptability. It's a very key ingredient, because you should be able to, that would enable you to be able to flex your muscles that you're built over time. Because when things unplanned things happen, it's a test to know how strong your values are, how strong the content is. Like you said initially, that you need to know what is in your package for you to know what skills you need. And
Yeah.
when life happens, when life curveballs, hit us, we really can't tell what skills will require. So it's good to have a good number of it, equip yourself. That's why self-awareness is very, very important, that we are equipped with all that we need. As much you can, the truth is that you can never over prepare for marriage. You can
Hmm.
never over prepare for marriage, because failure to plan, to prepare, is actually planning to fail. So read all the
Marriage
books and
successful based on the quality of the personality of the people in the relationship. So the best way to work in a relationship is to develop the quality of your personality. If you keep improving, you are going to be improving in your relationship. And then let me chip in two things. A lot of people are so closed up that they are not willing to discover people. That's why many single people are still single till today, because they have a picture in their mind and they expect that the person they will meet will be that picture from day one. So the moment they say, no, 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 this one doesn't fit in. But we need to engage in getting to know people. As singles, you won't get married. Get to know people. People take relationships too seriously too soon. Engage in knowing people. Just know them. You may never know this is what you're looking for until you get to know them, relate with them, have conversations, and be patient enough to read between the lines. And that's it. It's that simple. You don't close up because, okay, just one quality, is missing, and, just get to know people. That at least the people that are within your tribe. I keep saying that people who believe what you believe and they know the price you're willing to pay. That's a big
exactly, you need to have a tribe.
the price tag that you're willing to pay. Say and say he will change, she will change. Doesn't work that way.
Wow. So very much. Our time is already fast spent. We can't take any more questions, but I believe that our audience have gotten one thing or two. We talked about flexibility, adaptability, self-awareness. These are key ingredients, keystone attitudes and attributes one needs to possess, to be strategically positioned. Because the truth about the matter is that even if you get involved and you get to marry somebody who is 100% perfect, you also, for you to enjoy that relationship, and enjoy that that union, you yourself have to be one who is actually correct in your own way. Yeah, so thank you so very much for today. We thank you for your time. Thank you, our viewers. We believe that with this, like they say, with these few points of us, we've been able to convince you that it's not out, you shouldn't be on the outlook of who fits, but make sure that you yourself, you have actually know yourself, you know what you're about, and you are a student of yourself, and you've done well in equipping yourself for the long haul, because marriage is for the long haul. We are not to join the statistics of those who've had failed marriages. We believe that there are healthy marriages and people are thriving and they're doing well. And the best form of preparation is to go with that mindset that you're going to be among the people who are going to enjoy their marriage and make the most use of it. Because life, the society actually is affected by every marriage, every institution of marriage. To a very large extent, what we see in our society is a reflection of the health of our marriages. You know, children, whatever we see in our society, it's a reflection. So the family unit is the central unit, is the smallest unit, but is the most effective unit of what we find in the larger society. So thank you very much, our viewers, for joining us. Like we said, that you can always buy us a coffee if you want us to, if you appreciate the work we do and you want us to churn out more and more exciting topics, in this podcast. So if there's any topic you want us to treat, feel free to drop a note, drop a comment on our Instagram, the Afrocentrics podcast on YouTube. We'll surely get back to you. Thank you so very much for joining us once again on this particular edition. Until we come your way again, keep discovering, keep learning, and keep winning. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity.